All right, looking good. I'll get the lights on and I think we'll be ready to go. There we go. Dark enough in here. All right, like to get set up a few minutes early here before we begin at 8 o'clock. How's everybody doing tonight? I hit the chat. And we got a couple minutes yet. Good evening. First chat of the night. Now, I always have to get on here and find the video on Facebook. Aha! Here we go. More options. Now, you might be hearing a little bit of an echo, but that if you do, it's very temporary. Just till I get these pages shared. You might not be hearing it. That, I'm not sure. Share the Chiller Chats page. And is that it? Jack Shadow's page. We can't forget about Jack Shadow. It's Jack Shadow night. Alright, now we'll share it to the ChillerNight Facebook group page. What the heck? Okay. Looks like we are good to go. Terrence says, hello everybody. Mary Marvin says, I'm good. Saw Halloween Kills today. Good movie. All right, cool. Hold that thought. We will get the show started and I'll jump back on here on the chats. All right. Thanks for joining us, Mary. Hey everybody, this is Brian Hogue. Welcome to the Chiller Night live pre-show, where every Saturday night from 8 p.m. Eastern Time until a few minutes shy of 9 p.m. I sit on here and chat with you, you with each other. We just talk about all things horror, science fiction, paranormal, collectibles, merchandise, and stuff like that within those genres. Just basically sit and do a little chat, don't we? And of course, we will be talking about the upcoming Chiller Night programming beginning at 9 p.m. on Stream TV. But for now, oh, you know what? Speaking of Stream TV, what the heck? Let me get that stuff up here. Yeah, there we go. What was I thinking? All right. Mary says, right before the opening, she said that she saw Halloween Kills today. Good movie? All right, cool. Kelly says hi. Hey, Kelly, thanks for joining us. John says he could have stayed in the past. He could have even been king. But every Saturday night, he is king. This is Crozak the Grand, and it's time for Chiller Night pre-show. Now here's your king, Brian Hogue. All right, thank you. Thank you. It's very, very kind. David says, good evening. Champagne popped and poured. Cheers. All right, Raymond says, Brian, Raymond. John says, good evening, everyone. Raymond says, Terrence. Brian says, hello, everyone. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. And Ghoul World Order says, good evening, Brian. We just set up our Ghoul World Orders Space Hage page? I'm not sure what Space Hay is. It's okay. He's it's my question is answered. It's just like MySpace used to be. It still needs to get the CSS taken care of, but we're already finding some new potential fans. Buzzkiller. Okay, cool. I've never heard of that. Space Hay page, like MySpace. All right. Well, that's a new one. I've not heard of that one. Cassandra says, hello, everyone. Hey, Cassandra, thanks for joining us. All right, folks. Yeah, that's kind of cool about Halloween Kills. I'm curious to know how it is now. Mary says that she enjoyed it, which is cool. We're going to be checking that out this weekend. We're just going to watch it on the Peacock channel. That's how we're going to do it. So that is really neat, though, the way they have that available. So if you want to go to the theater, you can go to the theater. If you just want to pay a little extra and watch it, not extra, it's cheaper than buying it at the theater, and in some occasions, I think, but neat to just be able to watch it there at home. John says, let's do Horror Hotel. Let's do Horror Hotel. Did we do that one recently, though? Let me check. All right. I'm a pen and paper kind of guy. I have this stuff down on the computer, too, but I do keep my schedules right here. Let me check. Let me see when we did that one. I already have the schedule made out for next week, but that's always open to... we'll check on that. Let me check on... Where the heck is my schedule? All right, here we go. Here's for 2021. Oh, you know what? I don't have that one. City of the Dead. We did that at the end of August. Well, Horror Hotel, City of the Dead. I don't know. Would you be up for that again? That quick? I can. I could do that. I can make it happen. I have connections. All right. We'll maybe we'll do that one for next week. We'll see that. It is it has that Halloweenish atmosphere to it, doesn't it? Mary says, I saw it at the theater. Okay, cool. Gold World Order says, you're going to watch Halloween Kills on NBC? LOL. It's a joke about the NBC Peacock logo. Oh, okay. Forgot all about that. Mr. Tracy says, hello, hello. Hey, Mr. Tracy. Kevin says, hi. Kevin from Ireland. Keeping okay, my classic horror friend. Hey, Kevin. Hey, you know, we were going to have, I wanted you to be on Chiller Chat a while ago. Now I want to show you something. This is a minute clip. I want to show, because this was like really cool. I don't know if you caught Chiller Chat earlier this week, the live version. Now tonight, let me throw the schedule up. I'll tell you that, and then I'll get the point I'm getting to here. The schedule for tonight, the movie is Terror Creatures from the Grave. Now tonight is, my guest is Eerie Voices Paranormal Society. That is with the members, founding members, Chad Cornell and Doug Malinowski. Now tonight is part one. This was taped earlier this week on the 12th, and I'm going to show you a minute-long clip of this because it's kind of an important evolution in the way this show's going. But before I do, 11:30 tonight, Chiller Night Theater. The movie is Plan 9 from Outer Space. 1:30 Chiller Chat. My guest is John Murray. You know him as Doc Dredd if you've been a viewer here for a while. And 2 a.m. Chiller Night Theater. The movie is House on Haunted Hill. So there you have it. There is tonight's schedule. Let's see. Terrence says also saw Halloween Kills. 4 out of 5 stars. Pretty good movie. Can't wait for Halloween Ends in 2022. That's right. All right. John says, great flick, Raymond. Raymond says, I like Horror Hotel. Okay. Well, we could play that one. We can do that one next week. So we can do that. And then Joe Expo says, hello, everyone. Great to be here. Well, thank you for joining us. And now I will say this: next week I won't be here because I will actually be at a Halloween party, Ava and I. So I won't be here. If I do anything, maybe I'll check in on my phone but it would be on Facebook. Um, so that's if I don't want to. I don't want to. You know, disrupt the party and do something like that. But I might stop it. I might. I don't know yet. I'll have to kind of read the room and see how things are going there at the party. Um, let's see. But let's see. John says, I was surprised that when William Shatner returned from his trip into space, no one greeted him as Khan or as a Gron. How is that pronounced? Gorn? Gorn? I think you meant Gorn. The green lizard kind of guy. Yeah, that would have been funny when it. I knew what that was. See how much of a sci-fi nerd I am. Lisa Ann says, "Playing 9 from outer space is great." Jack Shadow thinks so. I am going to show you a. I'm going to show you a clip. Now this is 1 minute long. I just edited it. This is not of the interview. It's actually afterwards. It's right after the show ends. I play the end credits and then we jump back on there just to chat for well, in this case, you're going to see a minute of it. Now the reason I'm playing this is because I want you to see what the capability is that we have. Before we played it around with this a couple weeks ago. For the last couple weeks we've been playing around with it, but I'm pretty sure we've got the audio and everything all figured out. So without any further hesitation, check this out. And that's a minute long, so just you got a minute, right? Okay, here we go. I'm on there for anybody who kind of hangs around afterwards. Raymond says thanks, Brian and guests. Oh, thanks, Raymond. So yeah,
I've always wanted to do this because I tell you what, you get better. We always do a little bit before the show, and for a long time there we would kind of have the show carry on afterwards.
Yeah.
But just the conversation you get and the feeling, it's like it's a different conversation. So what me and you were talking about before the show, it's a different vibe. Or after the show, it's a different vibe. And I've always wanted to do that, like carry it on. Mm-hmm. But I know it's carrying on, so I gotta be
now we're just talking, all the pressure's off, and
exactly.
You're just having a conversation. Okay, so that was it. I wanted to show you that because Chiller Chat is really, I can do a lot more with that show, having guests on. And right now I had that set up for Skype. So I'm hoping to, let's see, I'm not sure who Tuesday's guest is. I put out an invitation. So we'll see if I get a response on that. But we will have a Chiller Chat on Tuesday night. And then Mr. Tracy says more relaxed with like after the show. If that's that's kind of how I would like this to get eventually, with Chiller Chat. And that's kind of why I like to talk to the guests, a little bit beforehand if I get that opportunity, just to kind of break the ice with them a little bit. But I really think that's going to open up the doors for me. Now, I wonder how that would work with Kevin, with you being over there in Ireland. Would it be that instant? I honestly don't know. I was these guys are just from Erie, and who I interviewed Tuesday night, and I was surprised that it worked as well and instant, as it did. So I don't know how that would work. I'd be kind of curious to see, one of these times, Kevin, if you ever wanted to try that out. How would that be from Ireland? If you're doing Skype. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I know, obviously, this is there's an instant I don't know. I'm not a technical person by any means, but I'm just trying to get, in my head figure that out. Would there be a delay? Should there be a delay? There's not one on the phone, but I'm dealing with a lot more than audio at that point. And I don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested to see how that would work. Ghoul World Order says if I could get Skype working, I'd be glad to do a Skype chat. Yeah, yeah. Just as if I'm the guy to take advice from, but it's really. I mean, I just downloaded it, and then Tom and I were on here a couple weeks ago, and we were trying it on Zoom, and the audio was really not even at all. Uh, Skype was, but when Chad, I know Chad already had his stuff set up on Skype, so when he asked me if I had a Skype account, I was like, oh, geez. You brought up MySpace a little. I was thinking, geez, that takes me back to those days. I don't know. I knew at one time, years ago, I had a Skype account, but I went in and kind of dusted it off and was able to use it pretty well. I was very happy with how that turned out. So, but yeah, definitely Ghoul World Order. We'll get you set up here one of these days. I'm trying now. I've got some days off coming up to where I'm going to try to get a tentative schedule, or at least for the next couple months. So Raymond says there will always be more stress when there's an audience than when three people talk among themselves. Yeah. Although, I mean, what it was, and I let them know, is because Chad didn't know that he didn't know that I realized, or didn't know that it was still recording live. I said, oh yeah, no, I'm aware. I just like to, every once in a while jump back on here afterwards and, do this, But yeah, no, it was live and still open. It was still streaming to the public at that time. But for some reason, same thing. Same thing. It was just before and after. Everything was the same before and after the credits. It's just that when you don't feel anymore like, I guess you got to put on a show in a way. There's a bit of a pressure to keep at least on my end, to keep a timed interview. Rightfully so. I mean, that's what Chiller Chat is. It's there should be a format of some type to go by. But yeah, I just I love how that worked out. I love the way, the quality of the sound, and the video was fantastic. I'm very happy with that. Mr. Tracy says, Ohio here. Ah, well, you're not that, not far. I'm a Pennsylvanian. Lisa Ann says, question, what's the coolest outside decoration this year in your opinion? Coolest outside decoration this year in your opinion? Huh, that's a good question. I think, well, last year I know it was those big 12-foot skeletons. I think you were seeing popping up from Home Depot with some of those. Well, they're pretty neat. Anybody could really just go, pick those up. And some people were getting kind of creative with them. But then they had another version of that was kind of like a jack-o'-lantern and scarecrow type of character. Now, I'll be honest, I just thought of that because you asked me the coolest one. Other than that, I really haven't seen that many decorations out, unfortunately. So, but probably within these last couple weeks, people will really jump in there and start decorating. Lisa Ann says, I like the real tall animatronic skeletons. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think those look pretty cool. And some people were getting pretty creative with them. I was thinking of getting one for my haunted house last year when these first started coming out, and seeing if I could kind of making it look like Jack Shadow. So, well, maybe I'll do that next year. Craig says hi. Hey, Craig, thanks for joining us. Mr. Tracy says, nervous, mellow out man. Nervous, mellow out man. Who, what? Who's nervous? Joe Expo says, remember Slee sells. It has a sacred place in horror. Yeah, especially in the 80s, huh? Um, Mr. Tracy says showbiz. Lisa Ann says, "Do you dress up as Jack Shadow for Halloween?" I have. I have, and I've gone to parties in that costume. The one I'm going to next week is it's about 2 hours away, so I'm not going as Jack Shadow to that one. I'll go as I'll send pictures and stuff like that. I'll go as a character who is I just I thought it would be kind of fun to do. I've never dressed up as this character, although I've mentioned him, several times on there, the Lone Ranger. So I will I'll be going. It's so much easier to drive for 2 hours, and just throw on the remaining parts of the costume when I get there, than to be in a costume like that. If it was just down the street, that might be a little different, but we'll see. But yes, to answer your question, I have done that in the past. Mr. Tracy says fog machine. Okay. Joe Expo says do yourself Halloween. Oh, for the decorations. Okay, all right. I was like, all right. um, Joe Expo says do it yourself Halloween effects on YouTube are awesome. There's some really cool ones there. Very cool ones. They have a really cool one for haunters too, such as myself. It's called Hollywood Haunters. It's this couple, and they show a lot, they're really creative. They show a lot of ways to come up with different techniques and ways to make a lot of their own props for haunted houses. They don't really have a haunt themselves. They have a home haunt, but they travel around to different various haunted houses and go through theirs and talk to the haunters, and it's a pretty cool channel. Gold World Order says, I was in Ohio back around January this year, and I saw those 12-foot skeletons in somebody's yard. We went to several towns out there, and we saw regular-size skeletons everywhere. Ohio loves their skeletons. Mr. Tracy says, if I dressed up, I'd be Frankenstein. Very cool monster. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Or Wolfie. All right. Raymond says, will your Lone Ranger outfit be powder blue? It will be yeah, kind of. It's just a touch darker than powder blue. Just a touch darker. So, I was coming up with a mask idea. I have it right over there. It was of they had a couple characters play the Lone Ranger. Most notable actor, of course, Clayton Moore. But John Hart, when John Hart took over in I think it was season 2, while Clayton, and then Clayton came back. John, in an effort to kind of mask the idea that they got a new actor, John Hart had the one that went over his nose to conceal more of his face, which made it a little harder to, I guess if you were a kid and you were watching that show, you wouldn't have seen a tremendous change. Maybe, I'm guessing, but I know that was the idea. They wanted to hide his face as much as possible. Clayton also wore the one with the covering over the nose. I have a version of that, and then but I also have the other type of mask. So I have to just kind of look and see which one looks better. But you'll get to see pictures of it. And plus I'll likely be passing out candy because I like to dress up when I do. I've dressed up as Jack Shadow before, passing out Halloween candy on Trick or Treat night, and I've dressed up as the Riddler from Batman, and now this year I'll be the Lone Ranger. So I think I get excited about it just as much as the kids do on Trick or Treat night. Miss Tracy says Lone Ranger's cool. Yeah, I had to get a black wig because uh, blonde doesn't quite do the trick. Lisa Ann says I usually go as Maleficent. Oh, really? Wow, that seems like quite a elaborate get up there that would take some time. See, Jack takes some time to get into. Um, when it's done right, it really takes some time. When I say when it's done right, I guess there's not a really wrong way to do it, but um, sometimes I prep. Okay, like for example, if I was doing the haunted house and I was, I would leave like here in Harrisville. I would leave from my house completely in costume, completely in costume. If my haunted house was located several miles away, which in the past it has been, I would have the eyes in. I would have, I would be partially already in costume, dressed up, and then when I get there, I would complete the costume after I've already inspected everything, looked around, made sure actors are ready, made sure we're all ready to open up for the public, and then I complete that process, which at that point would it might take 10 minutes or so, uh, but the entire process it used to take me a good 45 minutes or so because every time I did it, and this was kind of old school, I was using spirit gum to attach it directly onto my face. Now, since I've modified that over the years to where sometimes I go back to that method, and then the way I have it right now is it's attached to a, a bodysuit, a black bodysuit. It's actually attached to it. The mask is. So um, I have not every costume is like that I have, but that's the one that I've been using quite regularly. So it goes a bit quicker. Um, let's see. Mr. Tracy says, Jay Silverhills Tonto. Yes, did a great job. It's just always love watching those guys. Joe Expo says, I need to act the role. I do dancing Freddy Krueger. Oh, yeah? Cool. Dancing Freddy Krueger. Raymond says, I confuse the two actors, still do. Yeah, a lot of people, Clayton Moore is the perfect Lone Ranger. I mean, he just was the perfect Lone Ranger. But John Hart, I thought, did a decent job, and they didn't look all that different. I mean, not really. They had a very similar look, which of course is why they it was a good idea to get John Hart to play that part. John Hart is, when you've seen, and I know in the '80s he was on Happy Days as the Lone Ranger. That was who they used for the Lone Ranger, and Greatest American Hero. He did an episode of that, and that was because they didn't get Clayton because at that time Clayton was fighting a lawsuit, and I'm sorry we're talking about the Lone Ranger right now. I just realized it's Chiller Chat, but I mean that's my Halloween costume, and you guys are bringing stuff up, so I guess it's okay. But there was a lawsuit going on at the time because Clayton was making appearances. Again, he loved playing this character, and that's what I love about him. He loved that character. Not only playing that character, but he loved that character, what that character stood for. And he actually tried to, as much as he could, live up to a lot of those expectations of that character in public, especially in public. But there was a lawsuit where they didn't want him wearing his mask. So for a while, Clayton was going around with big sunglasses on because they were coming out with the 1981 Legend of the Lone Ranger movie. And they thought, I don't know why, they thought that would not look good for their movie, to promote their movie if Clayton Moore was out making appearances with that mask. I don't know who the brainchild was who thought that was, yeah, we don't want Clayton Moore promoting, getting people to have the Lone Ranger in mind. But anyways, that's why John Hart was came on to do those appearances in the 80s around that time frame as the Lone Ranger. So, but anyhow, um, Mr. Tracy says silver bullets from silver mines. Yeah, yeah, he was kind of like Batman in a way. He and Tano, they didn't need any money. They never took any money. They had all the money that they could want because of the silver mine that you're talking about there. I don't know if people knew that, that they had a silver mine. That's where he got the silver bullets from. That's why he never needed any money. He had access to all the money he wanted. Kind of like Bruce Wayne in a way. Um, so, but yeah, I don't know if I guess the general public would know something like that. But yeah, that's why you never see him take. He never took a dime from anybody. He didn't. He wasn't in it for the money. Lisa Ann says air conditioner so green, makeup doesn't melt. Oh, the air conditioner so green, makeup doesn't melt. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, I'd be curious to see your picture of you done up like that. That'd be cool. Raymond says, what happened to the Playboy bunny costume for women? What happened to the Playboy bunny costume for women? I don't know. Do they not make those anymore? I don't know. They had a guy on here. I saw the what is going on? They had a guy on I guess the cover of Playboy. I don't get the magazine, but I mean, of course, it's come up in the news headlines enough to where that's what just reminded me of that. Seeing that. Okay. Mr. Tracy says, "Old prospector Clayton Moore." Yeah, the old prospector used to dress up as. Lisa Ann says, "And it's hot sometimes. Jack makeup must be sweaty." It was there was one time when it's funny because I've wore that costume in one extreme or the other, whether it be extremely cold or extremely hot. I'm much better with the cold because I am layered up pretty well. Um, we have filmed because I had a building out in Cooperstown, Pennsylvania, but it had no heat. I did my haunted house. It was a big building, 50 by 100. I had the haunted house set up in there. One of the rooms was Jack Shadow's little set. Okay, so it was kind of neat because at that time we could go to various rooms and just set up the camera and the lights and stuff and have different sets. Um, but I remember going out there one time. It was so cold, so cold. Now, I was okay. I've shown this before on here. There was a scene where you can actually see, because I was layered up, you can see the heat, my body heat actually in the air coming up off of me. And I remember I felt so bad for like Ava was, of course, in the witch costume. And we had another young lady there at the time who was playing a vampire character. And those two girls were just, they weren't layered up. They had their Halloween costume dresses on. And yeah, that was bad. We were huddling over a light bulb in between takes. A light bulb. That's how cold it was. It was freezing in that. We were passing around a little, some brandy just to get that warm feeling. It was that bad. I was like, oh, the things we do for the show. But then on the opposite end of that, I remember filming, and it was so hot. It was so hot in the set because we didn't have any air conditioning where we were in this place, and one of the places that we were filming, and it was so hot that there was actually like almost like a mist over the camera. It was that hot. It was so hot in there, and I had to change costumes, and I had to keep reapplying the face because at that time like I said, it was affixed with spirit gum. One of the variations of the costume, and I had to keep affixing it because of the sweat. And then I had when I lift my arms, I actually had a stream of sweat that would come down out of my elbows from the material, and that's how much it was collecting inside the costume. And I was thinking, boy, the things again, the things I do, or when I'm on a parade, and it's 90 some degrees and muggy, and I'm doing these parades because they don't do them in a 50 degree October day. The parades are all, in the hot summer, and jeez, why do I do it? Um, no, I'm kidding. I do enjoy it. The show must go on. I'm an old showman, so the show must go on. Mr. Tracy says old movies were better. I can't argue with you there. Cassandra says you can buy 1 ounce silver 45 caliber bullet. Oh, I'd like to click on that, but I don't dare right now. I'll have to go back and click on that. Um, that's cool. Raymond says, I think the mine was first mentioned in the second episode back in 1949. Yeah, after the first one was, and I'll tie this in with Chiller, and it's actually pretty easy. Butch Cavendish, the gangster who set the ambush for the Texas Rangers that John Reed was John Hart was the actor. John Reed, who's the Lone Ranger, he and his brother Dan Reed were the Texas Rangers. They were led into an ambush by the outlaw Butch Cavendish, played by. Does anybody know who played Butch Cavendish in the season 1 or episode 1? I'll give you a minute to think about that. But then after, they were all killed except for John. John survived, and he was rescued by Tonto. Tonto would come along, and I don't know if I forget if he had heard what was going on from miles away, but by the time he got there, finds a lone survivor. They bury all the rest, and John tells them, "Well, we're going to build an additional grave." So the outlaws think that we all were dead and there's no survivors. But Mr. Tracy says Herman Munster sweated in his costume. Oh, I can see why. Gold World Order says James Arness. No, it wasn't James Arness. Good guess, but it wasn't him. It was Glenn Strange. We know him. You Chiller fans would know him as the Frankenstein monster in movies like The House of Frankenstein and, well, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. He's the one, Glenn Strange from in the House of Dracula, Universal's House of Dracula. But you would know a lot of those Halloween costumes, and he had that eerie look. That's just I'm pointing in my face as if that's going to help you, but he had a very distinctive look to him that no other Frankenstein. I think Boris Karloff was the best Frankenstein's monster, in my opinion. He just was. But the look wise, Glenn Strange had the creepiest, eeriest look for the monster, in my opinion. Mr. Tracy says, "Cool." Yeah, so there's the Lone Ranger Chiller connection there. Yeah, Glenn Strange, Frankenstein's monster. Ghoul World Order says James Arness was the creature in the original The Thing. Oh, is that right? Now that I didn't know. I didn't know that. So that's pretty neat. But hey, it is 8:36. I'm going to throw the schedule up, and then jump onto something here. 9 o'clock coming up at 9. Terror Creatures from the Grave. 11 o'clock Chiller Chat. It's the Eerie Voices Paranormal Society Part 1, and then of course next week I'll have Part 2 of that, which is very interesting. I was very happy with that episode. Not only for the content of the interview, but for the quality of the show with the video and audio. 11:30 ChillerNight Theater. The movie is Plan 9 from Outer Space. 1:30 a.m. Chiller Chat. My guest is John Murray. You would know him as Doc Dredd. He's not on there as his character Doc Dredd, but I just put that in there because so you would recognize who I'm talking about. 2 a.m. ChillerNight Theater. The movie is House on Haunted Hill. So there you have it. Ghoul World Order says, you didn't know that? Nope. I wouldn't have said it if I did. So Mr. Tracy says, Matt Dillon, the thing. Yeop. Yeop. What? Okay, well, let me get back to that. All right. Let's see. I've already covered no pre-show next week. I might do a check-in. I don't know yet. I'll have to kind of see how things are going. I don't want to be a rude guest at somebody else's event, so we'll see how that goes. Halloween Kills opens this weekend. Okay. Oh, Chucky. They started the Chucky series this week actually it was Tuesday night on the USA and Sci-Fi channels. I've not watched it. I did see it, but I haven't get a chance to check it out yet. And Brad Dourif reprises his role as the voice of Chucky. And so I don't know if anybody has seen that, what they think of it. I've never really got into the Chucky movies, but I think it's cool that this is coming out. I saw the first Child's Play, and then I saw that the one where Mark Hamill was on that. I was voicing the Chucky character. Let's see. Mr. Tracy, Vincent Price. Yes, I think we have him coming up here. Don't we? Yes, House on Haunted Hill. I thought so. Ghoul World Order says I knew a person who once asked if Marshall Dillon was Matt Dillon's brother. LOL. Oh yeah. John says I found a review series called Dark Corners Reviews on YouTube that cover horror and science fiction movies. That is quite interesting. They have covered Hammer films like Frankenstein and Dracula movies, Bela Lugosi Sr., and even legendary directors, both good and bad, from Dr. Caligari to Plan 9. Worth a visit. Okay, and it's called, that's neat, John. It's called Dark Corners Reviews. Dark Corners Reviews. That seems like that's worth checking out. Write that down, actually. One moment. All right, neat. Thanks, John. Lisa Ann replies to Ghoul World Order. I knew, so she knew. It was James Arnaz. Lisa Ann says, it's Steve McQueen in The Blob. Did I already read that? Maybe I didn't. But yeah, the old original Blob. Batteries not included, Mr. Tracy says. Raymond says, invite the whole party of ghouls to ChillerNight. What at the party? At my party? Not my party, but at the party next week? Maybe. Mr. Tracy says, ghost on the loose. And then Mr. Tracy says, Uner Raps. Yeah, Uner Wops? Oh, Raymond says, yes. Maybe I will. But if I do, it seems how I'm on my phone, I'd only be able to do one outlet. So I'd probably go with Facebook. But you never know. Mr. Tracy says wraps. Okay. Under wraps is what. Okay. I got you. But with the Chucky, with Brad Dourif, again reprising his role. Somebody was asking me a couple weeks ago about Brad Dourif. You know him as the voice of Chucky, and of course on the first Child's Play he was the criminal there who gets killed, and the doll gets struck by lightning, or however that worked out, to where his spirit goes into the doll. Did he do a or he was a killer or something? I'm trying to remember how that. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. Did he do a ritual or something? Somehow his spirit went into the doll, and that's how we get Chucky, the little possessed I thought that we were talking about the Lone Ranger, and now we're talking about connecting horror to westerns. At least this 7 degrees of separation. We had Glenn Strange as Butch Cavendish in the Lone Ranger. Brad Dourif actually played in a series called Deadwood, and it was a western. It was on HBO from 2004 to 2006, and then again they made a movie, Deadwood the movie, in 2019. But another interesting thing about Deadwood, is a lot of the actors, or several, I should say, at least a handful of actors from Deadwood, played on Fear the Walking Dead, making the connection from Western to horror, actor-wise at least. So that's kind of cool. I've never seen Deadwood until just recently. I just recently, within the last week, started watching it. I've never seen it before. I didn't have HBO, but we had fairly recently got it. I've just never checked it out until now. But it's a pretty entertaining show. If you have kids, you might not want them in the room. Certainly, at least a rated R show. It's pretty. Not something you'd want to see the kids to see or hear, but it is an interesting storytelling. I mean, the writing is fantastic. It really keeps you the way that, and I was watching this with this in mind, the way that it's directed and written, and they keep you in there, and I think that's what they tried to do with Fear the Walking Dead, but it doesn't. It just falls short of what they were able to do with Deadwood. Some shows are good at that, at really keeping you pulled in as a viewer, and some are just like, oh boy, this is trailing off way too much. But I did want to mention the fact that those two shows are at least that bridged by at least a good handful of those actors. Let's see. Lisa Ann says, just watched 2009 Turn of the Screw. Kind of lame. Oh, really? I have not seen that one, Lisa Ann. Miss Tracy says, be gold to your school, Alice Cooper. Raymond says, voodoo. Voodoo? What are we? Are we naming movies? What are we doing? Mr. Tracy says, Bat Masterson. Lisa Ann says, Ian McShane is Deadwood. Yeah. There's some very good actors on that show, which obviously helps a lot. But Mr. Tracy says Bonanza, yeah. Lisa Ann says excellent actor. Oh, he definitely is. Mr. Tracy says Tombstone. That was a neat one. Very cool. Shamdell. Yeah, that Ian McShane, if that's the one I'm thinking of, isn't that the main? Because I don't know all the actors' names. Isn't that the main saloon guy with the real dark hair, the older fella? I'm going to check out just to make sure that that's who you're talking about. And if it is, man, that guy is he's such a villain. He's so villainous. If that's the one, I'm pretty sure that seems like him. Yeah, Ian McShane. Okay, that's who I figured you were talking about. Yeah, you say, wow, yeah, he's so intense. He looks like he'd be well on old, like an old gangster movie too. Man, that guy just has such a menacing look to him. They got the perfect guy to play that part. And then Timothy Olyphant. I don't know if I'm saying that last name right. I know he's been in a lot of shows. Santa Claire Diet or something like that. Isn't that a recent one where the wife, played by Drew Barrymore, she turns into a zombie or something? I don't know, but the family's trying to hide this or something. I'm saying this I'm giving a very loose description of the show because I've not watched it. I started watching the first episode and I didn't get to complete it. Um, so he also played Cobb Vanth on the Mandalorian. Um, Guy wearing Boba Fett's armor before he got it back. Um, Kim Dickens, who played the mom on Fear the Walking Dead, she was also in Deadwood. You know, if you have HBO Max and you get a chance to watch Deadwood, check it out. I'm still in the first season, um, so I don't know. I'm sitting here just thinking about other actors who have been on the show. The guy who played where is it? What? I have the actors pulled up right here on my phone, so I'm scrolling down through them. Um, who is he? What's his name? Keith Carradine. John Carradine's one of his sons. He played Wild Bill Hickok, and he does. And now he's on Fear the Walking Dead as John Dory's dad. Um, let's see. Cassandra says, replying to Lisa Ann, I just bought The Innocents 1961 based on The Turn of the Screw. Oh, yeah. Kind of neat. Mr. Tracy says, The Undertaker, WWE. Very Halloweenish character. Lisa Ann says, British actor using American voice. Is that right? I did not know that. But that's interesting because there are a lot of uh, British actors and Australian actors who are on like The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, and now you're saying this with Ian McShane. I wouldn't have guessed that. They do such a good job, but I didn't know that. That's interesting. Now I'd like to watch an interview with that actor just to see that. Mr. Tracy says Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider, yeah, that was a neat movie. I think. No, I almost said I thought that they were going to do a remake of that, but I don't think that's true. I think I was thinking of something else. Never mind. Lisa Ann said he was walking down Venice Beach boardwalk one day, and a skateboarder yells out, "There's the Deadwood guy." He was in Lovejoy and Blackbeard in POC 4. Oh, is that right? He's up there in age, isn't he? Let's see how old this guy is. He's like 80 years old, 79 years old. Yeah. Just, yeah. I don't think they could have got a better actor to play that part. Very intense, very menacing looking when he wants to be, you know. And he's mostly the reason you wouldn't want the kids in the room. You know, he's got a mouth on him, I'll tell you. But outstanding show, outstanding show. And that's why, yes, it's a chiller show. But I have been making efforts tonight to connect. You know, if I'm talking about something else, I make an effort to make that connection, to bridge that gap between that genre and tonight that we're talking about westerns into to chiller. Lisa Ann says there are interviews on the internet. Oh yeah, I'll have to check that out. Mr. Tracy said David Carradine, Kung Fu Grasshopper. I met him back in the early 2000s in Cleveland, Ohio, and I always enjoyed watching Kung Fu, and of course that was cool to see him on Kill Bill. You know, at that, I tell you what, he was having a hard time that day. I got my picture taken with him, and I just say it's a good thing I was standing there so he could be propped up. You know? Other than that, he seemed like a really nice guy. Lisa Ann says American Gods too. Oh, I've not seen that. I have not seen that show. Lisa Ann said he was Mr. Wednesday in American Gods. Okay, yeah, I don't even know what that is, but American Gods. I'm not familiar with that one. But yeah, I thought that was kind of neat though. They used a lot of the actors from Deadwood that are in Fear the Walking Dead. And I don't know yet because I haven't had a lot of time to look into this. But what the connection was? Why? Why? Is it the same producers? I'm guessing. I'm guessing that's the case. Whatever producers were involved in making that, and it was an HBO series. Were they now working with AMC? I don't know. I'm curious to see why. Um, Esan says, I had a hard time following that American Gods. Oh, really? What genre are we talking about there? What's American Gods? I'm not real sure what that is. Um, but while we get to that, Lisa Ann says, there's a Deadwood movie too. Yep. Yeah, I mentioned that. That came out, in 2019? I didn't get to that yet because I want to get through the 3 seasons of Deadwood, the series, before I get to the 2019 movie, which is interesting because they skipped all those years from 2006 all the way up to 2019 to have the movie. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. But I just think you ever watch a show where you get into it, you get so into it because every actor, whether whether you really care for their character or not, but they do such a great job. The whole show is just so, you can't stop watching it. Well, and I kept hearing on The Talking Dead, Chris Hardwick mentioning all these actors that would come on. Well, and you worked with so and so from Deadwood when you guys were on Deadwood. I heard it so many times to where I started thinking, what's this Deadwood? Again, I didn't have HBO, and so we just recently got it, and I just started watching it, and now I'm kind of hooked on it. Mr. Tracy says, Car 54. Car 54 with the connection, the bridging the gap with Glenn, with Herman Munster, and I'm trying to think of what the heck, I'm drawing a blank there. We just mentioned him earlier, the guy who played Herman Munster, and Al Lewis, who played the vampire grandpa. They were on Car 54. Is that what we're doing there? I assume that's what we're doing. Fred Gwynn? There we go. Lisa Ann says, the set got demolished by a huge rainstorm after the movie. They used one of the last old cowboy movie sets. Oh, is that right? That's interesting. I wonder what the set really was. I know it's supposed to take place in Deadwood, South Dakota, but I wonder if like where that would. I'm guessing Canada, because a lot of shows were filmed in Canada. It was cheaper for some reason. Like the X-Files, a lot of their stuff was like in Canada, Vancouver, I believe. There's a lot of shows that are filmed up there. Close enough, environmentally, as in South Dakota and Canada. I should look this up, but I don't want to take away from the show here. But yeah. I'll bore you guys if I do that. Yeah, Gold World Order, Fred Glenn. I know I was drawing a blank there. I do that sometimes here on this side of the camera. I don't know why, but yeah. Of all names, I forget. Miss Tracy says Herman Munster, Grandpa. Yeah, I remember that. Lisa Ann says nope. Trying to recall about they don't film it in Canada. I don't know. That was just a wild guess because I don't know. Miss Tracy says maple syrup. Don't have any. Okay, you got me. I don't have any connection there. I don't know what. Lisa Ann says American Gods, Canada and Wisconsin. Oh, okay. Okay, Lisa Ann says Deadwood was filmed in Castaic, California. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Castaic, California. Okay. Interesting. I was gonna say I'm assuming it was Northern California. Maybe not. Maybe they maybe it was cheaper for them. Maybe it was close enough to where like Los Angeles or some major production company to where it would have been cheaper. Of course, they're going to go to locations that it's, you know, financially efficient for them to do that. But Raymond says almost 9. I know. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Jeez. John says, thank you, Raymond. You have been enjoying ChillerNight pre-show. Brian Hook, this is Crozak the Grand, reminding you only 15 days until Jack's most special night. And check out, I know it's the best fright of the year, and to check out the Halloween displays before they are gone. Stay chilled and keep thrilled. Until next Saturday night, thank you. Mr. Tracy says, Canada, maple syrup there. Okay, all right. Lisa Ann says, yes, you said it right. Thank you. There's a magic mountain there, and used to be an old cowboy movie set. That's interesting. Very interesting. All right. Thank you for that. That's neat. All right. 9 o'clock in just a couple minutes here. Real quick. 9 p.m. ChillerNight Theater. The movie's Terror Creatures from the Grave. 11 p.m. Chiller Chat. My guest is the Eerie Voices Paranormal Society, Part 1. Next week we'll have Part 2. 11:30. ChillerNight Theater. The movie is Plan 9 from Outer Space. 1:30 a.m. Chiller Chat. My guest is John Murray. And at 2 a.m. ChillerNight Theater. The movie is House on Haunted Hill. Of course, the late, great Vincent Price. Raymond says, later Gators. Diana says, good night all. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight, joining each other. Have a good night. Have a good chiller night. We'll see you next week.